So first thing I want to get into is this mystery in MMA, right? Maybe you could, maybe you have the answer. Do you know what is in the secret juice that Paulo Costa is carrying around? Because I think you've been around him recently, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what it was. I didn't ask him about it. I should have. But no, I don't know what's in it. But yeah, he's a character. He's fun.
Yeah, I love it. I love that, he's turned into this character that he's like embracing it, you know what I mean? Like I think he's getting more fans.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just flows with it, and people take it on the lighter side, and that's what it's about, it's like having fun with it. And he definitely I think he's like finding that, and I think he's doing good for himself in his career like that. So
Yeah.
it's good.
And also it seems like, he is staying in the US and like going to the shows and being in the public eye more, and it's like growing his character. And you yourself, I see you at almost every pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my homework. It's good, I mean, it's hard sometimes to be there in the events, like, because of course, especially when you're watching from the TV, you have the commentating, it's cleaner, but when you're at the event, it's a lot going on, so you see things happening. But I mean, that's the real, that's the realest, emotion. That's kind of like where you see, okay, what are the judges? How are they judging this fight? You know what I mean? And it's way different when you see the fight from, on the TV, like, oh, I think it went this way. I think the guy that's on the ground, at least for me, I see a lot of fights that maybe the people take them down and they don't do too much on the ground, but they get the takedowns. But then standing up, they're kind of getting, outpointed, So I'm always curious, to see like kind of what the judges are seeing, their live, are they doing it off of emotion? Are they doing it off what's the vibe, of the impact? Are they doing it off injury, And it's crazy because sometimes it's like they go to the grappler who just, maybe they took down, they didn't do too much work, but they got the takedown every round. And sometimes they go to the striker who was taken down, but, when they were standing up, they just like out struck the other person so much. Sorry, there's like a helicopter.
It's all good. It's LA, right? LA, there's a lot of helicopters.
No, but it's good, I definitely enjoyed, it's good to be at the event, and just seeing everyone and being in that energy, it's something I'm trying to get myself just, to feel that adrenaline, and make sure I keep that up. You don't want to be, I was out a little bit longer than I had hoped before I was like 3 fights per year kind of thing. Now it's like 2. This is my second year. I'm April and October. So I mean, it's not like ring rust, but you need to feel that energy. You need to keep remembering what it's like to be in there. Remember why we do this. Seeing all the fans. So yeah, that's what I miss. That's what I like to do.
As you go up in the rankings, you don't fight as often. You just kind of have to realize like you're only gonna fight twice a year most likely because the top fighters are not ready. There's not as many top fighters, right? So is it hard for you to not fight as often as you want?
I mean, it's hard because I'm excited, and I like to be there, but it's good, it's good because the level's higher, and each camp I'm just adding more and more and intensifying everything in the training, so it's like, man, I need a little bit more time, you realize how it all just kind of works out, because that extra 2 months, makes a big difference with your training, with who you're going to fight, and you're just like, man, damn, I'm not fighting, you know, we're not just in it where we can just be, do our best at what we do. It's like, no, it's so much like more strategic, and everyone's good at what they do at this level, close to the belt, So definitely those extra months, even though my anxiousness and the fact that I love to be there, I'm like, man, I wish it was sooner. But it's totally worth it. The extra weight to have some more training on you, like be able to do more training. It's crazy. Like before the fight, we're like, oh man, after this fight's over, I'm gonna take a break. I don't want to fight for a little while. I'm gonna just like recover. As soon as you win the fight, you're like, yeah, you can put me in. They go the interview, post fight. I'm ready next week. And then it's like 2 weeks later, like your body's sore. You're like, oh no, let me just wait a little bit more. It's just so much adrenaline, and you're in the moment. Yeah, I'm pumped up. It's so funny.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. When you're in that environment, you want to say, like what, you want to get back in that environment as fast as possible. So I understand that. And then, when everything settles down, the adrenaline settles down, your brain works properly, and you understand what you want to do. Now you're coming up on this main event, your second main event, October 1st, Yan Xiaonan. What type of fighter do you see in that?
Oh man, this is like a good fight. I think this is gonna be a really good fight because she's so aggressive, and she's just technical, man. She's so technical. I think she has good speed, good volume, good like aim. She's accurate. So it's a little bit different from me. I'm getting better at my accuracy. Getting better at my boxing, my striking, um, everything. But of course, I'm not gonna want to be like striking with a striker. Since I'm the grappler, I want to go to my strong strength. So I think this is I'm happy with this fight because I think could be a good fight, good matchup for me. She's not someone who runs a lot. And I don't mean run as in like doesn't want to be there, but that has really, really good movement. She likes to stay in the pocket, stay in good distance, and just like put on her volume and stuff. But I'm definitely going to this fight. A lot of my fights, I'm going to go like, oh, I probably won't get hit that much, because I'll be chasing the whole time. This one, I know, like, okay, we're probably going to get engaged fast. I think unless she changes her strategy completely, she is coming from 2 losses, so who knows? That could completely, that could change someone's strategy. You know what I mean? The losses could, but it's 5 rounds, so I don't expect her to change her whole style for 5 rounds. Keep that up for 5 rounds, But I'm definitely expecting that I'm gonna get hit in this fight. So I'm preparing for that. I'm preparing for a war. But I see myself like getting it to the ground and submitting. I can't say that watching her fight with Carla definitely gives me like a little bit, good vibes. Like okay, I see like a big opening on the ground game. Of course, my wrestling isn't like Carla's. Carla's timing and everything, it's different, totally different level than mine. But hey, worst case scenario, we can just pull guard.
Well, let's talk about that Carla fight. It showed a lot, and you mentioned you're not a wrestler, but you've been working on your wrestling. And when the fight hits the ground, what was something that was important? I think people don't look into. Well, you probably look into it. Is that she was able to control her on the ground and keep her on the ground, right? And how much did you take away from that?
Oh, I took a lot, because exactly. That's like the first thing I look, it's just kind of like, what's their ground defense? Like, are they trying to go to the cage? Are they like trained on their side? Are they, do they tend to give their back more? But I felt like, she was just flattened out, so I definitely felt like, okay, I felt like her ground was really like a lot to work on in a short amount of time, and that's for me, 6 months or whatever, is a short amount of time to like totally get better your ground game to like a black belt level, you know what I mean? So the fact that usually Carla is a little bit more like takes down, she kind of stays in the guard and does some ground and pound from the guard, but the fact that she got like to side control, like mount, she's passing her guard, she's like just like almost crucifix but on the top and got the TKO, that was definitely like really good. But I actually, one of the fights I talked with Carla, and Carla's like, man, the head kick that Yan Xiaonan did to her made her like seeing stars. I was like, man, getting like prepared, so it's like there's still all this stuff that I have to get through to get to that position. But I'm like, man, that's the goal, to get there, because if I get there, I'm 100% sure if I get to that position on the ground, I got it, but until I get there, it's gonna be a war.
When you do get to that position, I feel like she was too comfortable on her back. Like she was like she didn't work, because in MMA they're always telling you get up, do not get flat, and that was the biggest mistake on her part. You were doing other interviews, I watched them, of course, and you talk about the wrestling, that you've been working on it a little bit more this year. Who have you been working with on a regular basis with your wrestling?
Daniel, his name is Daniel. I don't know his last name, but yeah, he works with me. He works with Cheeto. So yeah, he's great. I've been doing like 3 days a week with him. So it's just good, It's like, for me as a jiu-jitsu person, jiu-jitsu fighter, for us, like impact and strength against strength, that's not what we do. For us, it's like I use your strength against you, like leverage. Like you put your strength on me, and I just like throw it that way, and then you know what I mean. Like we go around it. We don't have this impact. So for for me, I would go like takedowns or something, and then go a little bit, head down. As soon as I feel I'm then heavy on my back, I'm like, oh, okay, like just give up. It was always hard. Now he's able to just get me like simple. Just like change my levels, my legs and my low back and my glutes like straighten up. And it's way easier. I can like kind of you come up more instead of going down, So I'm like, okay, I'm not suffering so much now. So, I mean, I still have a big, like, my dad's a black belt in judo. Definitely have a big judo background. Um, like I said, I have like the guard, jump guard, all these like ground games. But I'm just so happy to be able to put this wrestling into my arsenal. I think that's been something that everyone's been talking about since I I debuted in the UFC. So, finally, number 4 rank. I'm starting to get that. I think people will be happy.
Yeah, it's like you're putting, over the years, just putting these pieces together, with the striking with Jason Perillo and then now the wrestling is just like coming together. It's always great to see that in a fighter as they rise, as they compete against the best fighters in the world. You have a bunch of, training partners that are men, but you do have women coming in sparring you. When you compare, sparring women to sparring men preparing for a fight, which do you prefer and why?
I mean, honestly, I like to spar with the guys because they hit you hard. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you think just to be like as a woman and fighting and like getting punched and not like, not shying away from it, to just keep pushing forward. I think the guys really keep you keep you real with that, you know what I mean? And keep you on point and like, okay, just keep pushing forward, and kind of bring that pit bull out of you, that heart out of you. And I think that's what I think in the end, that's what you need the most, because technique, I think all the top girls are so technical, so I think you can get down to, of course, strategy, something like that, but it can get down to just who has more heart, who just keeps going at it, who wants it more. So I think the guys really bring that at you. The girls, it's great to have girls, it's realistic as in size and strength and all these things, but I mean, in the end of the day, the girls, you still compete against each other, even in sparring, you still have that competition side of you, so it can kind of, sometimes sparring can get a little bit like really strategic, and kind of no one wants to lose a sparring, and that's kind of just the time for us to make mistakes and see, do whatever you want and see where you're messing up, you know what I mean, and not like, okay, let me just win. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it's good. It's great to have girls that, cardio, endurance, that adrenaline, because you do have that competition side of you. You don't have that adrenaline with the guys, but I think the guys just keep, bring out the heart. And so I think I like that part of it, more.
Yeah, good mix. And, going around gyms and watching pros spar, I feel like the women go at it harder against each other than the men will. The men get crazy, but the women, man, they go hard. And it's fun to watch, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, whenever, like, me and the girls are sparring, that you can tell everyone around, they get, like, all hyped up and stuff. They get pumped just watching, yeah.
Nice. And, what did Jason Perillo say when you told him, like, I'm going to be facing my third straight striker? Yan Xiaonan, what did he say?
No, he was, I mean, he liked it, he always says, like, man, we're going to fighting all these girls anyway, so he actually, he cornered against Yan Xiaonan, like, a while ago with Kylan Curran. She used to train with him. And so when she was in the UFC, he was in her corner against her, and they had a great fight, too. I think it was, like, in China or Singapore or something like that. But, yeah, so he kind of, I mean, he doesn't remember everything, of course. There's been so many fights. But definitely he was excited. I think he was excited to see, like, okay, a couple of years later, and now he has another athlete, and he's going to kind of, I mean, it's almost a test for it, too. I mean, it's like the fighters, but the coaches in themselves, they have this, okay, let me do a different strategy. Let me, make my fighter ready to fight your fighter, So he's definitely excited. He's pumped up. We had Cheeto, then we had Luke. So now it's like my turn, So definitely he's been on a couple busy months. But yeah, it's fun. He's confident. He's confident. So that's good. That when your coach is confident, you can feel that. And I'm like, okay, we got this.
With improvements, we talk about the wrestling and of course your striking. Where do you feel like you've improved like in the last 6 months? Is it more with the hand speed, maybe the footwork, or is it like maybe in the power?
Man, I think honestly, I think my striking. I think I'm just. I don't know. I think I'm understanding a little bit more my own distance. You know, I think sometimes I was committing so much. You know, I was getting a feel for it, and I like the feeling, so I just committed all the time. Or I was all the way in, kind of smothered my punches a little bit, or I was kind of a little bit too out. You know, so I like punch, and then I wouldn't be at the right distance for a takedown or something like that. Kind of, they could see it coming, but I remember just getting my distance now that I feel I can control way more the fight. So all my punches, they're not like or smothered or on the end. You know, they're very like right. I'm putting them in the right spots. You know, so they're way more powerful. Like it all kind of comes together, I guess. And you know, like they're way more power. The speed is there because you know when one's hitting, I'm already coming with another. Like okay, I found my distance now. You know, so and then I guess my distance has to do with my footwork, you know. So, yeah, I mean, he's been trying to work on this with me since I met him. So almost for like 2 years now, working together, me and Bro. And I think finally I start to get that. How much will show in the fight? Who knows? You know, we never know what the other person's strategy is and things like that. But yeah, definitely I feel like this camp, it really came together good, you know. So I'm excited, you know. It's good when you start to feel like, okay, we're getting better.
Yeah, you're right. You never know what's gonna happen in a fight. She could come out in the first 2 seconds, trip and fall, and you could just jump on her back and choke her out and be over, right? That could happen.
I mean, like even with Tisha, you know, I was starting to feel better on my feet, you know, my standing. But I knew with Tisha because she moves so much, she's good at, you know, like hit and move, that I went into the fight like, okay, I'm not here. I'm not going to go into the fight to try and show how good my striking is, you know. I'm going to fight just to get, you know, I want to get to her and just take her to the ground and, you know what I mean, and hit her. And like, I was just thinking, like, I'm going to go into this fight as a fight, you know, not like showing how I wasn't really thought about that. This one, I feel like you know Yun's gonna bring out a good like level in my striking for this fight. So yeah, I'm excited. I actually you know when it's a good you know like they bring you you know like I don't know if you're hearing them you know you see like the little kids doing karate and stuff. One will do a kick, the other will do the same kick. You know, kind of end up doing that. You know, so or sometimes I can get lower than what I am, or sometimes I go even better than what I am. You know, but the kind of the person who I'm fighting or sparring they kind of bring that out of me, so it's cool.
I feel like the Torres fight was is a perfect fight to lead into this one. You know what I mean? That's kind of the styles and the movement and the speed and everything. And you know, but like you said, you might not even show anything. You might just go straight to the ground. And what do you see? Like, do you see a choke? Do you see arm bar? Maybe a knee bar? I don't know. Like anything could happen.
You know, I mean, she's Chinese, you know, and Chinese, Japanese, you know, they all have like a very samurai, you know, spirit. And so, I mean, I definitely see myself, you know, I mean, I can't say like, oh, I see her tapping, you know, I honestly, I don't see her tapping easily. You know what I mean? I see her like, okay, I'll let it break, you know, or just like how she's, you know, I see her like that. Like, I'll let my arm break. I'm going to go to sleep kind of style, you know, because at least in my whole jiu-jitsu career, whenever I fought someone like from China or Japan, they were so just like tough, man. And I was just like, oh my gosh, they have that warrior spirit, you know. They just don't give up. And so I see myself getting a submission, a choke. You know, I think I'm gonna have to. If she doesn't tap, put her to sleep. I think that's the best. Because I mean, if you break your arm, you can still fight technically. You know, so I prefer to put them to sleep, put them to sleep, and just finish. And you know, she can keep fighting after. You know, like no surgery or nothing. And hey, just lock it in there.
Yeah, you don't really want to hurt somebody too bad, right? And when you compare, like, you know, when you competed in jiu-jitsu, right, where it's you're only going for submissions compared to MMA, do you feel like in MMA you have to go like you have to go harder on the submissions? Like you have to like once you get it, you have to pull as hard as you can. You have to choke as tight as you can. Is it like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like that for sure, but definitely more the higher level. You know, I feel like you know before I was the ranked, you know, or like the lower ranks, um, you know, like I didn't have to like go and you know just like rip it off or something like that. You know, I could kind of be a little bit more technical and like I don't know, not that I'm giving them a chance to tap, but you know, like expecting them to tap, you know, and like they end up tapping, you know. But the higher you get, I'm like, man, these girls like they they don't care, you know, like they're in this to win, you know, and it's like, and you don't want to like, okay, let's say for Tisha, for example, I have like a kimura on her. Maybe if I would have just ripped it, you know, okay, she'll probably have to do surgery on her shoulder or something like that, you know, and of course that's not like, you know, but I'm thinking like, okay, 99% of the girls will tap this, you know, and also I'm like, man, she's not tapping, you know, okay, and I'm trying to do like technical, but I realize like, you know, they don't care, you know, they're gonna like, they can break my nose or cut me open, you know, they're gonna do that too, you know, so I mean, we all signed up for this, you know. So I'm just, I mean, it's not to be mean, you know, but it's a little bit of a little kind of like cold that you need to go into the fight a little bit more colder, you know, thinking and not be so not sensitive, but you know what I mean. Not
Killer
everything's on
instinct.
technique. Yeah,
You like, do
exactly.
you feel like that has come like into you more as you like you rise up the ranks, the killer instinct? Like when I'm in there, I have to be a killer. I don't have to wait for, you know, I'm not gonna be nice.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Because Tisha, I had a really good positions. Like I should have finished the fight. Marina, I had like her back. I had omoplata. I had positions that meant I shouldn't be losing these positions. Like I shouldn't be finishing the fight. I should have finished that. You know. So it's just like, man, I don't want to lose these again. You know what I mean? So I realized, like, yeah, it's definitely bringing that out of me. Like, okay, you know, we're all friends. You know, but if we get hurt, you know, I'm not gonna be mad at them if I get hurt with one of them, and I hope that one of them won't be mad at me. They do don't tap or something like that, you know. So I just can't do it.
For sure. Well, you know, I can't wait to see this fight. This fight is going to be pretty crazy. You know what I mean? Both you guys have just kind of like rose up next to each other. Now you're finally meeting. It's a main event, 5 rounds, so you guys got a lot of time to finish each other. October 1st, UFC Fight Night. Thank you so much, Mackenzie.
Yeah, thank you. Good talking to you.
For sure.